Hey guys, it's Julia. Welcome back to my channel and Merry Christmas to you. Today I'm going to show you how I make this miniature Christmas tree to get into the holiday spirit. So without further ado, let's get right on into it. So to get started, I'm going to be taking some thicker paper. You can use whatever color you want. I just have this green paper, and excuse me as I put my trash can lid here. Just get something round and trace around it. It needs to be fairly big for this craft, but obviously depending on what scale you're doing, you can make this whatever size you want. Next, we're just going to cut this out. Then we're going to fold this in half, then unfold it and fold it the other way to find the center of our paper. Then we're going to mark a little dot, and we're going to cut a line to that dot. And then we're going to just cut out a whole section of this paper. Then we're going to roll the paper into a cone shape, and this is going to be the base of our Christmas tree. Next, I'm just going to get some tape to tape the paper together to hold it in place. Next, I got some fake grass. This is just a sheet that I got from the local Dysel or Dollar Tree. And we're also going to need some lights. I chose the flashing, colorful lights that are also from Dysel. So next we're going to line the top of our Christmas tree up with the corner of our fake grass, and we're going to cut it. Unfortunately, I'm not very good at math, and so this didn't line up the way that I thought it would. So we're going to have to fix that later. But, yeah, this is what we have so far. So, as you can see, I'm just lining up the edges of the grass, so I'm cutting a bigger piece, and I actually taped them together to try to fix this problem. I ended up changing that later. But anyway, so next we're going to glue our paper cone onto the grass, and we're just going to roll it up until we get to the taped off area. Now obviously if you cut this grass outright, you wouldn't have a taped off area, but I'm just removing this tape because I realized that this isn't going to work. It's been a while since I made this Christmas tree the first time, so I kind of forgot how I did it. But anyway, I'm just putting some hot glue on this edge, rolling it up, and then I'm cutting a piece that will fit in the leftover space on the cone. And once you put it together, you won't really be able to tell that you made a mistake. But I will probably put the seam of the tree towards the back of my display anyway. So now that we have our base Christmas tree, I'm just getting a knife. Now if you are a young child, please be careful of this, because this is a sharp object. I am just I'm poking holes in my tree so that once we put the lights in the bottom, you will be able to see the lights shining through the holes. But unfortunately, I couldn't really see the lights as much as I would like to, so I took a pipette and I cut little pieces of the long tube part and I'm just gluing those into the holes. Now this is just going to hold open the little holes that we made in our tree earlier, and it'll just make it easier to be able to see all the pretty lights inside. Now for the tip of the tree, I put some hot glue on a toothpick to be able to reach the glue into the deeper parts of the tree. So next we're going to bring our lights back in, and hopefully this time we will be able to see the lights better through the holes. So I really like how this looks, and so I think we're going to move on to the next step, which is going to be putting a bottom on our tree. So I'm just bringing in some cardboard, and I'm tracing around the base of our Christmas tree. Then I'm going to be cutting out our cardboard, and we're going to trim this piece of cardboard until it matches and fits inside the base of our tree. Now I did cut out a little notch for the wire for the lights to go through. Now that I'm happy with how that fits, I'm just going to get my hot glue and I'm going to glue this into place. Next, we're going to decorate our tree. I just had these colorful Christmassy looking beads that I found, so I'm going to be gluing these all over, but you can really do whatever you want with this part. You can make it look however you want. You can put beads or sequins or I don't know, anything you want on it. Next, I'm going to be taking some chain. I decided to take the silver chain, and I'm going to wrap this around the tree to kind of look like garland. But you can skip this step if you don't have chain, or you could use pipe cleaners or twisty ties, or I don't know, whatever you have laying around the house. I just liked how the chain looked, so I'm just going to wrap this around the tree. And I'm just going to glue it in place in a few places as we go down. Then at the end, I'm going to cut off the clasp and glue that in place. Next, I'm going to take the remaining part of the pipe cleaner. I'm going to be taking the base of the bigger part of the pipe cleaner. I hope you can tell what I'm doing, but I'm just going to cut this, and we're going to be making the star now. So I'm just going to cut halfway down into this pipette piece so that we can slide our star into there later. Next, I'm just going to get a piece of paper, and I'm going to very, very roughly and very messily draw out a star, and then I'm going to cut this out. If you don't feel comfortable drawing a star, you could print a star, or you could trace a star, and I'm just sliding it into the slit we made in the pipette before. Now I'm using this wooden piece that I had for the base of our tree, and I'm just bringing in some brown paint to just paint this, although once we're done with this whole thing, you won't really see this base part, so you could just leave it plain if you wanted to. Next, I'm going to be bringing in some fabric. I'm just using this red, very festive fabric, and I'm also bringing in my trusty double-sided tape. I'm going to be using this as the round object to trace around. Then we're going to be cutting out this circle of fabric. This is going to be the, I don't know what it's called, it's the thing that goes underneath the tree that you put the presents on top of. What is that called? Does anybody know? If you know what this is called, please put it in the comments, because I don't know. Anyway, so next we are going to be folding over the edges with a little bit of hot glue just to make sure that it doesn't fray. Next, we're going to be making a tiny little room to put our tree in. So I'm getting a little baseboard, and I am going to be putting some wood paper on top. So I'm cutting that to size. Then I'm going to be using double-sided tape to connect the paper to the board. Make sure that the edges are nicely lined up before placing it firmly down onto the board. Next, I'm going to be bringing in some scrap pieces of cardboard that I had, and I'm going to be bringing my tree to measure to see how tall the walls need to be, and then I'm just going to be cutting out 2 of these pieces. Then I'm going to bring in my hot glue gun, and I'm going to glue the walls in place. Going to paint the star for our tree, so I'm just going to start by putting down some sticky tack so that it can hold my star in place. I am going to be using silver paint to match the silver chain, but you can do gold or whatever color. After it's dry, I'm just going to get some hot glue, and I'm going to stick the star onto the tree. Then it's time to assemble, so I'm just putting some hot glue down and gluing our tree into the room. Then I'm getting our blanket for the base of the tree, and I'm going to be putting it around. Then I'm going to be gluing down the corners, and I'm kind of going to be folding them a little so it looks like it's just naturally kind of laying there, because if it's too straight, it won't really look super natural. Now I'm getting these little presents that I found at the store. If you don't have these kind of presents, you could just get scrap pieces of wood and wrap them in decorative paper to also make little presents for under the tree. And here is a button that I found that I like to use as toys for under the tree. So I'm just cutting off the back button part, and I'm going to be gluing this partly onto the tree, partly onto the baseboard to hold it in place. Next, I'm getting some scrap pieces of cardboard again, and I'm going to be making a base that can hold our battery pack. So I'm putting the battery pack up against it to make sure that I have the right length and the right width. And I'm going to be cutting 3 of these pieces and then gluing them around 3 of the edges of the board, leaving one side open at the back of our display. Sorry, this was totally out of frame right here, but I'm just gluing the light pack into the bottom. Now make sure that the part that slides off to so you can change the batteries is not the side that you glue down. Next, I'm going to be gluing the wire going all the way to the back of the display, and then I'm going to be taking all the leftover wire or cord or whatever it is, and I'm going to be gluing it inside this little base that we've made. So that is the end of this build and of this video. I hope that you guys enjoyed watching it. I hope that it made you excited for Christmas. Voila, here it is. I'm excited and happy with how it turned out. If you guys want to see more videos from me in the future, please subscribe down below, and please also like it if you liked it. That just lets me know that you want to see more videos like this. And please comment down below if you have other miniature video suggestions that you'd like to see me do in the future, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!